Took my family away from my Carolina home. Matt, we're in the studio to start today. The recording studio. Yeah, got it. Live streaming. Yes. Hi, G. Say hi to G, Matt.
G drifted up to heaven after Nancy Pelosi landed.
Yeah.
Didn't you see the gift I sent you?
Man, we're in the studio because we like talking music, and you shared this with me, and I will say it again. I have 7 older brothers. None of them were big Bowie fans, and until I went to Western Michigan University, definitely in 1982, and had lots of Detroit roommates. Bowie was giant in Detroit, and this from 1983. Obviously, he was a mega.
Yeah, that's when that's when I glommed on to Bowie in 81, 82, freshman, sophomore year in high school. Whole crew of us loved him. And then, listened to all his old stuff, Hunky Dory, Ziggy Stardust. And then China Girl came out in 84. That whole, he had that whole Let's Dance 2-year run.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Hugely popular.
I actually had to chastise my brothers when I went home. Like,
the Great
White
Dude.
Where were you guys on Bowie? How'd you miss Bowie?
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, not that they missed him, but and when we were camping this weekend, Matt, we did a whole Bowie soundtrack at the campsite, which was
nice. What's your favorite Bowie song or album?
I do prefer his older, the Ziggy stuff is just, but
awesome.
Then, how do you not love Young Americans? Like that tune is just ridiculous.
But you either got to, pick a song or an album. I love Ziggy Stardust from cover to cover, the whole storytelling on that album. Glam, and that's when glam rock started, by the way. So all you, hard rock, Motley Crue fans, all that shit that, made it big in the 80s was because of Bowie, right? Dress up, look like a girl, androgyny,
yes.
The whole thing.
Yes.
The whole thing. And nobody cared then. Nobody gave a shit. That was what he did. Same with Prince. He was androgynous. Nobody gives a shit. Go ahead. Be your person.
Be yourself. Yeah.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
But for me, Hunky Dory is a damn good album. Love Hunky Dory. Love it. And that's
before. Matt, we're gonna stay in the studio, but we're gonna talk sports and Soto ends up a Padre. I thought
Soto and Bell, the first baseman. Don't forget the two.
So the Padres, you made a good point because I thought you're a giant Dodger fan.
I am a Dodger fan. And I'm a Padres fan because my kids go to school in San Diego and I've been going to games for the last 6-7 years. So I like Petco Stadium and I like Dodger Stadium. I like those two West Coast teams. And
the fact that they could, the killer of my enemy is my friend. Anybody that can beat the Yankees.
It's like to me, whoever. I'll take the Dodgers first. I'll take Padres second. I'll even take the Giants in third. Right? I'll take all those teams. No Mets, no Yankees. Bye-bye.
All right, as long as we have that clear.
It's clear. And by the way, did you see the shirt I put on this morning anticipating the San Diego pull? My son didn't believe me. I said, listen, they're in the leading position. He did not want to believe me. And I said, that it's going to happen. And then he texted me this morning and said, it's happening. I'm like, all right.
10 barrel?
All right.
All right, man, listen, tell me more about how it is similar to being a Michigan fan.
Well, yeah, no, for me, like rooting for the Dodgers and or the Padres and against the Yankees is what I do, which is what most of the world does. And for me, I root for Michigan football and whoever's playing Notre Dame.
And Matt, just like that, I've transported myself out of the studio. It's a little hard to run up the 4 flights of stairs.
I mean, who's the team you hate? With the Bears, it's the Vikings, right? You hate them, or the Pack. Which one? I don't know.
It's the Packers for sure. It's the
right.
Packers
so you're rooting. Sure. You hate Aaron Rodgers or whoever, Brett Favre, whoever's on that team.
I gotta tell you, it's been a lot harder to hate those two guys in particular than like a Lynn Dickey.
Lynn Dickey. Wow, that's a name,
right? You gotta go back.
That's a name from the '70s Packers, who were equally as bad as the Lions during those '70s.
I mean, brutal.
They were
You know,
horrible.
the guitar made it up too into the kitchen. And let's face it, Matt, the best party always ends up in the kitchen. So we talked yesterday about this, Matt. We talked about this cockroach milk as it's coming down the pike, right? But then I saw this. A couple of things here. I don't know. You shared this in this. Who supplied us this graph? What great organization?
I don't remember. I put it in there. I wrote it up.
I didn't see the link. So, and we don't have Lee here today. I don't know where Lee is. Lee's apparently
well, it's in there. It's in the
eating watermelon and kale. Frosty Mini Wheats being in the top 5. Who had that? Who had that?
Right.
And Honey Nut Cheerios in the top 10. Who had that?
Obviously Kellogg's. Obviously Kellogg's did that study.
Right.
But how about the chocolate covered almonds was above like protein too with chocolate? Like, come on.
Well, I am shocked.
I think Hershey's, Kraft, and Kellogg's were the authors of that study, most likely. I can't remember. No, but I think it was
minimized and to be encouraged. It's unreal.
It was I believe it was not FDA, but whoever sets the food pyramid. That's I mean, look at it. You're in the
Well, what shocked me is that this wasn't on there. The Deutschland Insektenburger. And I thought this was a joke, Matt. I actually thought this was a joke. And I'm like, man, somebody went to a long lengths. This is a great joke, right. But it's not a joke. If you let me share, I will share because I wanted to show the website. Because that's how we try to do. What we try to do here is find some price discovery that comes with it. And before we get there, Matt, let me just show you this. We talked dairy yesterday, and this is Wisconsin Lemon Mom sharing. And I know you haven't seen this, and this is how you are christened in Wisconsin. Look at this baby, not happy at all, crying. Oh. Hit him with a slice of cheese. He'll shut right up. Anyway,
hit him with some Americana. Hit him with some Americana.
Well, I didn't mean to stop sharing. I meant to stop the insanity. I'm going to share again here because I want to. I can. Anyway, what I wanted to show you that the Insectaburger, it's from mybugbar.com. They just had bug bars, and I've actually had a bug bar, some sort of cricket protein bar, and they have a whole array of insect based. And we talked about this before, man. I got no problem with this. Listen, you cannot be a free market advocate and then say people shouldn't eat bugs. You can't be. You that's hypocritical.
You also can't make me take heart medicine if I don't want to, or a vaccine.
This one in particular bugs me because there's nobody looking out for the bugs, first of all. But if you want to make a business selling bugs,
does this mean like does a bug's life have to go away with this type of product?
Well,
like, can we make
those? For sure, Disney's got to rearrange. Everything needs to be rearranged. Hold on, my hair's falling on my head here. Anyway, Matt. Just like Beyond Meat, Matt, we said, hey, if you want to invest in it, that's fine. If people want to eat bugs, that's fine. And let's let the market decide whether bug eating is going to be a rage. And I wouldn't even mind investing in some bug because I know there's a lot of people that eat bugs. Matt, that's just the way it is. So bring up Beyond Meat. Let's look at Beyond Meat. I'll stop sharing. And let's talk about some price. It's amazing how we get the price discovery on this show. Nobody does it better than us from the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, Beyond Meat's had a huge, they've had a huge rally from 18s all the way here.
Wait a second, though. Amazing. They say that again, just for everybody here. They had a big rally from where?
1877.
And where did they top out at? In the euphoria?
240 when they came public. So, 95% gone.
All right. I actually am not opposed to if I was going to deploy, why wouldn't you want some fake meat and some bugs in your portfolio? Because the narrative drivers sure are trying to drive demand for you. Like,
Right.
so you have a lot of inertia, institutional inertia behind the narrative to eat bugs and eat fake meat.
But
and
it's dragging on the bottom. Got up here, got earnings on Thursday, so in 2 days it got up to 41, trading 33. It's probably a good, with the way this market is right now, it's probably worth a stab to the long side with all the bugs and fake meat that's being pushed by soy boy Bill Gates and his soy tits. I mean, why wouldn't you buy it here?
I don't know. All right, let's move on. We're staying on the theme though. We're definitely staying on the theme here. And another one, I just saw this the other day. It is, I thought it was a great photo. It is a great photo, a piece of Americana. Anthony Bourdain, sitting there with the cup of Joe, a nice French roll, and a pack of Marlboros just to round out the whole morning routine. I'm assuming it's morning. I could be wrong.
I mean, he doesn't even have any butter to make any of that taste good. It's all
butter
dry.
yet. He doesn't have any butter yet. We don't know the whole story. I'm sure.
Well, he might have some bug butter because he used to eat bugs on his show too. So he would, he was maybe just leading us down the road to this future bug world of his life.
Matt, I saw the reason why I was looking for this, and it took me a while to find this picture because I saw it a couple. I saw MOS Mosaic, which I thought when I saw MOS was Altria. And so then I'm like, oh, we can talk about Altria because we've talked about that before. Thank you, Anthony Bourdain. One table there, and we have a lot of price discovery to go out of to chase here. So let's look at Philip Morris first. MO, they just reported. Surprised a bit.
They did report, and more importantly, they killed the jewel market was thrown out. And that's why we sold off into the earnings. So we went and we talked about this here. It was probably due for a pullback. And if you got the pullback, you should buy when it got down to 40. Remember this? 40. And currently today, Bob, it's paying about an 8.25 dividend. So at 40, that's, again, we said the dividend would go even higher. And in fact, there it is going higher. It traded up to what, 40, I don't know, 44 or 50 or so. Looks like maybe before the earnings, and then you said it sold off. Let's look at the shorter term chart. It did sell off this morning, and it was bought, but it didn't really go down much. It had already been going up into the earnings like everything else, and it's just sitting here in balance on the short term. So again, if you got another pullback here and went from the low 40s all the way up here to 44.40, another pullback, you probably could buy it again. If not,
let's just talk a little bit about I just don't think as people stress out, you're going to get pinched, but I think cigarettes is the last thing that people cut from there.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Like, it's funny this summer, of craze and all the tourists that are in our fine town this summer, more than I've ever seen. And there's a lot, like I have not seen as many and walked by puffs of smoke in my life as I have the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month versus the last 20 years here. People don't smoke here, right? They just don't.
No, exactly. In fact, when I moved here, I was the fattest person here.
Yeah. And you still are. So
no chance, dude. No chance. I've been seeing, as the city folk drift. Anthony, what do you think? Am I the fattest guy here? All right, listen, have a cup of coffee and you just be quiet back there. We got a show to do. He keeps whispering in my ear here behind me. Right. All right. So,
yeah, I mean, to your point, there's still people out there that smoke, they're stressed, they're going to continue to smoke again, and it pays its dividends. So if you have no moral, hard on about smoking and, like you do about, abortion.
There's an interesting thread by Stephen Kotler. He wrote the book, The Rise of Superman. He's a performance, coach. You can't use words anymore. Everybody gets so offended. I was going to say he's a performance Nazi. Like you're like, you can't, nobody can say, yeah, that's what he is. He's a performance Nazi. He wants you to be the best that he. Anyway, he has a giant thread on how everybody should be smoking after like 60 because of the mental clarity and the boost of energy. And, you know, you ain't going to live to 120 anyway. And it usually takes you 50 years for the negative effects of smoking to hit you.
Right.
I don't know. Also there in the picture, again, a picture is worth 1,000 charts. That's what we say here at Market Vitals. Let me get we got a cup of coffee there. That ain't a Dutch Brothers coffee, man, but we've talked about Dutchies a lot. So let's look at Dutchies and Starbucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go macro first, macro versus micro coffee, and we're gonna look at Starbucks, which got to the hole here. We've talked about it down to 68, and they recently also had earnings and a dividend paid. Their dividend is about two and a quarter currently.
I mean, think about the table there. So the coffee's
and the earnings, you know, the earnings are today after the close. So it's been running into the earnings, got up here to 86. You know,
I love to sell it up at the top of that profile. I mean, how defined is that?
You know, get it up to 96 and it starts getting, especially when you have some congestion up in here. And this was like a breakdown area too. So for me, yeah, if you can get back up to 96 to 100, that's a good area. And then, you know, again, if we're back to a bull market again, then it's got to get over this 115 area really for me to, you know, take off again. But it could drift higher for a while longer with a bullish market that we have underlying right now. So and it has been, but you know, 60, that's not insignificant. That's almost a 30% move that we've had already into the earnings, Bob, and those earnings will come after the market today. And then Dutch Bros, local Oregon company, recently went public. Hasn't been quite a year. Spiked all the way to 81, had that great initial run, then dumped all the way down to, what did it get down to 20? And we were pounding the table, buy. It
Absolutely.
It doubled. And here you are again. And, you know, it's trying to decide which is the next move. The thing about both these companies, for me, Bob, you know, kind of like if you are going, if you believe the GDP or if you believe Biden, you probably want to be long these things at these prices because $6 coffee is easy for people to absorb, apparently. But if you're Biden, but if your GDP and recession has been negative the last 2 quarters, you probably don't want to buy it. People are probably cutting back on their purchases outside of the coffee market. That's, you know, but again, balance here is still above us. We haven't gotten back to that area. It's a pretty bearish chart from here, right? But with that, it depends on where you sit on the story, on the narratives, and where you think the price could go. So keep that in mind.
I mean, I think as people get squeezed too, it's not. I don't think it's beyond a logical thought process to think that some people are going to not go through the Starbucks drive-through and are going to go through the Dutch Brothers drive-through because they're going to save $2.
But the question is, Bob, if you're an addict and you're addicted to coffee and smokes, do you give up one of them?
That's yeah.
No, like I'm asking you because you know you got an addict right there with his coffee and his
Anthony, weigh in here. You know what? I don't know, but I think the price discovery is gonna show this. Anyway, Matt, we were talking about how much you talked yesterday about how much. Hold on a second. Where's it at? Got to get rid of them. Ant, got to get rid of you, Ant. You brought it up yesterday. And we're staying on food here, by the way. It's staying in the kitchen because this is from Cheddar Flow. The median real revenue growth for FAANG stocks has officially turned negative for the first time in almost 2 decades. Matt, let me say that again. For the first time in almost 2 decades. You talked about the strength of the FAANGs yesterday holding the stock market and driving the rally. But how do you equalize that in your brain?
Ad sales have slowed down for Facebook, for Apple, not Apple, but for Google. So, and then again, if inflation is what it is, just because Apple comes out with a new phone here in the fall, like they do every year, does it mean you're going to rush out and get rid of your 13 that's only a year old? When these phones should last you, you're still with like a 6.5, your iPhone 6.5.
I had a dream yesterday that it broke in half, literally broke.
Well, it's because you have the 6.5, and so now you have a 6. iPhone 6. Okay.
I have no idea what I have. Matt, last thing. Well, no, it's not going to be the last thing, but let me share again, because since we're in the Manja kitchen, I just want
wait. Let's talk. Can we please talk about the elephant in the room?
In the kitchen?
Well, Nancy Pelosi. You don't have her big breasts hanging behind you on the wall, which you
no,
should.
no, or the sinkhole in Chile, which actually isn't a sinkhole. It's a cosmic reference to the size of. Well, you know what? Let's not let's not lose the kids here. But amazingly, the narrative market that we're trading is they're going to shoot her plane out of the sky, and then she lands and she's visiting the chip manufacturer, which her husband heavily invested in, ironically.
Yep.
And I don't know if she had to go there because the SWIFT system would have said, wait a second, on this cash deposit, she's actually bringing back suitcases of cash.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
Taiwanese dollar, which is off, but it's still relatively stable when you look at other things. We talked about it yesterday. Maybe she's getting Taiwan dollars. Maybe she's getting US dollars. I'm not sure, but yeah, she didn't get blown out of the sky. And I saw the thought. I saw where it said the security is $90 million for the couple of days that she's going to be there.
Yeah,
$90 million.
I put that in the thread this morning. It is.
That I'm drinking out of a Boston cup because we need a whole new tea party, and I don't know.
Well, Nancy, like Hillary, is really one of the better traders I've ever known. It's really astounding how good she is. And Nvidia, again, she was buying, or Paul was buying, I think, right before his DUI or right after his DUI, he loaded up on Nvidia, and I'm sure.
Well, if he's like you, Matt, he's trading on the phone. That's why he got pulled over, because he was driving and trying to put orders in on his phone and was swerving, because he's an excellent drunk driver.
Again, this thing turned as soon as he bought it. It was unbelievable. Spiked and then pulled back, and you should have joined him. Because it looks like this thing wants to cruise up to maybe 220, 250 again. Anything's possible.
Where's the high of that fat ass value range?
250-ish. Yeah, 249.
All right. If you are long this stuff, if you got Paul's newsletter and you don't lighten up at that point of control and at that high of value, you are a slob. That's all I got to say. A slob as a trader.
Yep.
Please. I mean, if one thing that we always talk about, Matt, is book your profits. Take your profits equal something. They equal something different to everybody.
Yeah, let's look at the semiconductor index, because we haven't looked at it in a while. And this again, they all topped at the same spot in November, but which was up here at 320 on the index. And just simple trend line here. We might be getting might have a little rejection coming here with all the news. I'm just saying it might be a good time to lighten up a little bit if you've been long, because again, 140 up here to one, or excuse me, we're talking to SMH here, but if you're long the index, 192 to 240. I mean, again, this is a 30% move that we've just seen here in 2 weeks. I mean, everything's up in 2 weeks. So don't get ahead of the curve here just because we're not back to a bull market. And again, this kind of shows up in the shit names, because the shit names really aren't, in other words, for Carvana to get back bullish, let's just bring up a rando piece of junk. I mean, this thing, traded as high as 377, for God's sakes. Now it's dragging on the bottom, but do you really think people are going to be cruising and buying tons of cars right now? Probably not. Now it did test the COVID low, so at least that story, aligns with what we're saying. If you want to buy these things, that's a good area for usually to bounce. So all that being said, this is not a bull market, because these names, these junky names aren't all the way back up there. And even names like PayPal, like they're up every day right now because everything's up every day. And again, if you're not taking profits on some of these moves from 67 to 90, where we are now, again, and it could go all the way up to 150 and still be fairly bearish, right? On the long-term picture. So these things, again, are not, now that we've kind of got this, drift going, this upward drift, if you will. And I think we're in this void. We're in this, we're done with the big earnings. There's nothing that's moving the market, and everybody has basically pulled offers and they're waiting for the next shoe to drop. And you'll know
perfect double Gallagher there, by the way.
Yeah, just a little
perfect double Gallagher.
So if you bought 120 on this false breakout and then wrote it down to 67, you might be able to get back to break even. I'm just saying, don't be too greedy though after that.
Right. Oh, as always, Matt. As always, please go to Amazon.com and buy some Shrimp Mojo. I just want to share a few Shrimp Mojo shares. Shrimp Mojo versus cockroach milk. I'm not sure yet on that one, but maybe the shrimp. Yeah. And then the shrimp and grits, or do you call it polenta, and the shrimp tacos. Let's call a spade. Nothing better than a Manja Shrimp Mojo taco. Matt, is that it? Hold on. No, this was a different one on the Trump first. Trump cramp 3. I'm telling you, this Trump thing is going to trend. But let me show yesterday's. Because it was even, we started it live, right? And then I got stumped. To be honest with you, I got stumped. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it quick. Because no, that's not that. This is Trump. This is a good one to share, though. The Great MAGA King. That's not the one I wanted. Hold on. Maybe it's in Wordle. Maybe I saved it as Wordle. I don't know. Are you kidding me? I can't find this. Send me to my room. I can't find it. Remember, Matt, it was Trump, and then it was the U and the R were correct. I'm disappointed beyond words that I can't bring this up, and I'm even more disappointed.
Well, let me come back to the markets while you're figuring that out, because I just want to point out that mid-June we were trading 11,073 on the Nasdaq, and we are today at 13,106. That is a 18.4% move in the last 6 weeks. So we're coming up on 2 months, and when you fractal out, right? And there's a lot of highs, lows, because this is something that I actively trade. But when you fractal out, don't forget where we came from, 16.8, let's call it. So 16.8 down to 11, right? Halfway back on that move, which is, what is that, 5,700? That's, is that, am I doing the math right? Quick math. Yeah, somewhere like 5,700. So 2,800, gets you up to about 13.8. That's halfway back, somewhere in this double, triple Gallagher, right? And we're just getting into the value zone, and this is on a 610, Bob. So we're just entering it today, and we're testing that high from yesterday, which was 13.1. And again, I said,
I got to tell you, man, looking at that, you got to be at least entertaining selling this thing here.
Yeah. And again, everybody is bearish. All the negative news with Pelosi and all that, you knew it was going to go up today. You kind of knew it. I mean, it's just such BS. All the propaganda on both sides. It kind of reminds me. Actually, it's Western Europe. It's the United Nations is one propagandist. You got Russia. You got China. You got the U.S. They're all pushing narratives, and they're all full of crap right now, and nobody's doing anything. Xi was just, we're going to blow you out of the sky. Give me a break. I mean,
yeah, it reminds me of post 9/11 trading, where everybody was waiting for the next garbage can to blow up,
right? Or anthrax to be delivered, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The narrative-driven thin markets. That's what we have.
Yeah, negative narrative and very thin markets. Not, I mean, again, the volume today is going down. We're basically seeing declining volume, which is what you expect. And again, so don't be, I also think you can be patient and waiting for shorts here too. There's no reason to be, getting big on the dark side right now. Because why can't we go up to this 13.5? We traded there back in May too. We had a spike there a couple times and held. So there's no reason we can't kind of, again, this, and you kind of see this in the fractal. We're kind of just breaking out of the, the high end of this, this is 4 months, 5 months. And again, I'm kind of going on different time frames just to show, but we're running into the top here. And again, oscillators, there's a lot of oscillators that I follow that are very, very uber bullish right now, which is, you got to fade those typically at this point. So if you miss this 18.4% rally, it's probably not a great time to, get on board. Maybe if you got a pullback sooner than later, you might be able to buy the dip maybe to 12.5 or something like that, as long as 12.5 held, Bob. But, again, this is just kind of summer blahs and we're up again today, but we're not making new prices. So I just want to point that out. Here's the intraday on this, and we're tagging yesterday's highs again. We just 13.097. We're not rolling over, but we're right there. So you're gonna have to find, we're overbought on a basic RSI. You got declining volume. And
that's what I'm saying. I think this is a good place to sell. And the way you can do it today is Tuesday. You can buy. We've talked about this before. We've argued about it before. But if you want to walk away, you can buy the at the money call for tomorrow afternoon and sell the future. It's an easy way to define your risk. The market can rally hard against you, but you've defined your risk with the cost of that at the money call. And so it's just one way to
tell people how they would do that. You got to eat. So, you got a micro or a E-mini. Which one are you doing?
So where is the NASDAQ trading exactly right now? Hold on.
13.075 just printed.
So you buy the 13.10 calls for tomorrow, and whatever you're trading, make sure if you're buying a micro option or a mini option, those are obviously different. But if you bought
the micros, they only have weeklies still. So
you know what?
So
in the minis they have, and in the minis they're going to every day, Monday, Tuesday.
Have they yet?
I don't think they have yet.
Yeah. I'm looking. I'm looking.
13.
Looks like I think they're still Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Looks like to me.
All right. So you buy Wednesday's 13.075 call.
Well, there's 70 and 80. They do it by 10. So let's just say the 80s are, offered at 80.75. Okay.
So you're going to spend 80.75 and then you sell a future right here.
And you only make money if it moves over 80 though.
No, it doesn't, because there's still you're short a half a future. Because the at the money call is a 50 delta. And this is why you don't, as it breaks, that option decays less than you're making in the short future, because there's still time left in it.
Right.
Don't
forget we're August 2nd, the first 2 days of the month. People tend to chase whatever's been running. They keep chasing.
Write that down, Matt. We'll talk about it tomorrow. 1380 calls. I paid 87 for it, and I sold a future.
No, you paid 80.75 when I said it. So
okay, and I'm just gonna say I sold a future at 13.075 even.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk about it in the morning. Matt, this was the Wordle that we had up yesterday. Trump, which I use every day. And then we went burst, and then we kind of got stuck there. I thought it was going to end in URT. I was wrong. Yeah. I came back to it, Matt, and I put in quirt, which is a word that you had never heard of, which I know from my days of being on the floor. And it is a descriptive word that I don't want to get into. And then it is court.
Maybe Nancy Pelosi would like to get into it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Again, we get back to the mine and chili pretty quick when we go there. Anyway, I just wanted to bring it up. Please try it at home. Using Trump as your first Wordle word. It's been, Matt, now I'm 98-1 doing that. Honest to God.
You should try. You should just give it a shot with Biden. See how that works. Oh, but you probably can't because it's not a word. It's not a verb.
I would just thought. I thought that what they should be doing in the press briefing is bring out a whole new narrative, and it's called "Build Back Biden." I think that's what needs to be done. Build back Biden. Like, let's get back to when he was a real liar. Back in the day, when his lying was epic,
yeah.
When his plagiarism was epic plagiarizing. He can't even remember shit to plagiarize now. So I mean, he's past his prime in that regard.
Well, he said the other day that he gave $8,000 to every man, woman, and child in America during the COVID break. So you should be good because you got $8,000. He also said. That was classic Biden right there. That was a drift back. That was a little drift back to, his flat out lies.
All right, that's what we got. Anything else, Lee? Thank you for jumping in, Lee. Lee's on the road, I believe. Lee's on the road. All right, Wednesday the 8th. What is that? What is that Wednesday, Lee? What is that Wednesday?
The 8th is a Monday. So
the 10th, definitely the 10th. The 10th, Wednesday the 10th. Yes, beautiful. All right. That's what. Anything else, Matt? Anything else jumping out of you price wise?
No, it's pretty quiet for me. Really quiet, quite honestly. It's a one-way market. It's a Nancy Pelosi day. I don't have a lot of history in trading. Nancy Pelosi goes to Taiwan Day since she hasn't been there in 30, and although I was trading then, I don't remember what happened when she went there 30 years ago. And the last time I think the speaker was there was 96 or 7, I read today, and that was Newt Gingrich. So, and wasn't that after the whole tank escapade?
Oh, probably.
Because that was like mid 90s, early 90s. I'm a little soft on my numbers there. I don't know.
Standard Motor Products, Lee is asking for. Why wouldn't we? SMP, Standard Motor Products. Is that like Standard Oil or no? STP, the Racer's Edge. Remember when stickers were?
I'm going to give Lee the same answer I would give to anybody. Stay the F away. It's so thin. I don't want to look at it.
Lee likes trading thin.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's not my game.
Here, let me share because I actually like the chart. Yeah. Let me share. SMP.
Trades 29,000 shares. It averages 67,000 shares a day, Lee. I can't put on my size with that thing. So sorry.
Matt, let's fractal out a little bit. Weekly. Clearly got some momentum here. If you got it on and you don't take profits.
Wait, which one is it? SMP or SMR? Which one is it?
SMP, Standard Motor Products. SMP.
All right.
It's a Ranger.
He's changing his mind. SMR. So this is what I'm saying.
Well, I like SMP better. All the way up.
SMR to trades. I have no idea. It looks like it's probably like it must be like I don't know. It's a conglomerate. It's a SPAC. Stay away again. Okay, you just got lucky. It took off. I'm going to show it real quick. SMR.
All right. Yeah. Jump in.
All right. So it was dead forever since it came public. It looks like a SPAC. And then now it just woke up because it's finance and it's around power. There you go. I don't understand it. I don't know anything about it. If you're in long,
here's what I know. If you're in
if it's up 50%, you bought it at 10, just sell it and get the F out and move on next.
Yes. Take your money. Put in a nice kitchen like this one behind me. That's the Manja TV test kitchen. Matt, the thing I like about the Manja TV test kitchen is the number of blenders we have. Me, like Joe Pesci, I blend. You blend. I blend. I love blending. And there's lots of things I blend. There's one thing I don't blend, Matt, and that is my margarita. My margarita is on the rocks, salted heavily,
and shaken.
Salt. Yeah, I'm like Bond, shaken, not stirred. No blending for the margarita. Anyway, I don't know how I thought about that, but that's how price discovery happens. I had a thought. I didn't mean to. It just jumped into my head.
You had a thought and a dream, and it all
Yeah.
came together.
It reminds me of an old joke, and let me see if I can remember it.
Oh, I did want to talk about one more thing because we talked about it just yesterday. I said the one thing I was watching was the bonds, and I talked.
Yeah, bring it up because you brought it up yesterday and said it was reaching that point where I think the stock market is reaching right now.
I said 146 was, you know, kind of like my first line in the sand for a pullback, and I think this could be leading us, by the way, because the bonds have been leading the entire market, right? They've been going up longer than the equity market has. And I talked about it yesterday, and I said, if you can get close to that 146 area, you know, leave an order out there and sell it. If you did that, it hit 145.31. I mean, you can't get any closer. So I said, as it gets close, so 24 to 31, pick the last quarter piece of that move, you know, 145.24 to 31. That's where you should be selling.
You know what, man, let me just say something here too, especially, do they have micros in the bonds? They don't, do they?
I don't trade them. I trade the
maybe,
big.
Maybe not, but
Because
there's
the
no
margin's
reason.
so good on these anyways, you don't really need it.
My point is that another great reason to use micros is if you were trading one mini and that's what you're margined to, and you're like, listen, I don't, but you could take 10 micros, that allows you to put orders in that space.
But think about this, Bob. This thing went down $3 from there. That means it's over. The move is over. Now,
say it one more time. The move is over.
I mean, when you have a harsh reversal, I mean, look at that. Look at this. This is a 610 bar. No, nothing but sellers all day today. And it went right to that 146. I mean, again, this is what happens. You test the underbelly. The underbelly became the ceiling, which was the basement. Now it's the ceiling. It ran up to it. So, you know, people aren't, again, we're not in a bull market. You have to look for places, I think, still right now, and equities and everything, where you would want to sell. And this is the first level only. It's only the first level. I'm not saying it can't go higher, but this first level usually will hold. And it did, because this is where we broke down from. And so we came back and tested it, and they couldn't find any more buyers, which is not bullish. It is not bullish for the bonds going forward. And the bonds, again, 131 to 146 has had a huge move, Bob. That is astronomical in the bonds in a short time. I mean, a very short time. I mean, again, mid-June, this is only 6 weeks that we've gone up almost 15%. Huge move in the bonds. And yet we have inflation still. So yeah, okay. I'll take your argument that we may have overshot a little bit, but I still, you know, big picture, Bob, we got a lot of work. You know, now you look at a weekly, and you start to see this a little bit more clearly. And it came, the other thing right here is it came, you know, it came right into this 146 level, and this is like right here. I mean, this is where we are right now. So you're just running into a lot of it. You know, again, the battle is at this line. This is the battle zone. So this is the DMV. This is the DMZ. What do they call it? You know, in Korea there.
DMZ, the demilitarized zone.
Yep.
Definitely.
So that is
awesome as usual, Matt. Awesome analysis as for par.
So if you're paying attention, we give these levels for a reason. You know, they may not be the trade. The trade happened. It wasn't much after I said it yesterday. It was just in the evening. You put your offer up there, leave it out there, sell a handful, and then come back today and you're down $3. I don't know about you, but that's a good trade. And
all right, Matt.
And if we can get below yesterday's low, which we're sitting at, basically, you know, there might be more downside to the trade. So again, with something like this, you take some off, and if it breaks, you know, say 142 next, then it's going to go even further lower again. So, but right now, go ahead.
Real quickly, where is that 80 call priced at NASDAQ for tomorrow?
80 call now?
Yeah.
Well, we're down about 20 points since 13,080 when you said it. 13,070, 80, 75. It is now 71.
So by my math, I'm
73, excuse me, 73 is, well, you bought it, right? So yeah, you can sell it
off.
at,
How
can
wide
sell it at
spread here?
71. The bid is 71.75 right now. So
Right
it's
on.
off $9 already.
All right, but I sold futures at 75, so I'm up 15 on the future side.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. The 50 delta isn't going to move point for point with the futures.
Okay.
And so you're buying basically the time. You're buying the time, and that was 87 points for tomorrow's close.
And you just picked tomorrow because you just want a one-day trade. You could have picked Friday.
Exactly. You could have picked Friday, but I think this the day of expiration in particular, like in the morning, I just think sometimes it's buying that time is more important than maybe the extra money that you pay for that stop price. I think that's important because the way we've seen particularly in the NASDAQ. I mean,
well, you could buy the Friday. You could also buy the Friday right now, which is the 13,080 is bid, or you'd have to pay 125 right now. So it gives you protection on the NASDAQ then up 125 points is what you're saying. And
it gives you all that time. How many times have you seen a 400-point afternoon? I mean, that shit can happen.
And I don't disagree with that. I mean, and it's
not only that, it can rally 300 and then break 700.
Right.
The way this thing's been acting. That's my point. That buying time is actually a strategy. Buying time for the stop versus just the point. I'm buying time it's like you're sitting at the poker table and you're guaranteed to see how many hands. You just don't blow out right away because you had a nice.
And we have, well, I kind of like the little longer term. I like the Friday jobs number a little bit better than, because there's really no news tomorrow.
Exactly.
So I kind of would rather buy the 13,080 at, well, now it's 129 since we've been talking because the market's going back up. But you could buy those at 129 and,
you hold those a little bit and sell the future, hopefully right up at that strike. Anyway, that now you're legging in, which is always a problem.
If you don't get in.
Right. I've lost more money.
And you're not talking about legging in. You're talking about just doing this trade. So.
All right, Matt.
Again, we're going to see how it works. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And you got the expiration, I guess, tomorrow on that 13,080. Right. And where did you sell it? You sold it 13,075.
13,075. Exactly.
Yeah. So you sold the NASDAQ and you are long the 80. The 13,080, which obviously is going to depreciate really fast here if it doesn't get up there by late tomorrow. So it'll be an interesting exercise here. Okay, but here's also the exercise. If we go nowhere, you're going to lose it. Yes, you lose money. Yes. Well, that's the whole idea in trading is you have the chance to lose money. That's why you do it. But I'm just so people know, this is the risk is what is the risk? You're saying $40 basically. If we go through that number, it's still because you're sure the stop will be exercised. So you understand that, but you're saying the call or which is 2 for 1. Again, I don't trade it this way, so I'm trying to understand. I'm asking questions like. Okay, so 1380 is your call strike price, right? Yep. You paid 80. We paid 87. I mean, I trade options like this. I do back spreading on stocks all the time, but I just don't back spread like this on futures. So you tell me. So your risk is, let's just call it a perfect world. You sold 1380s, right? You sold a future there, and you bought the 1380 call for 87 points. Okay. Well, you bought the 75 or sold the 75 you said. So Matt, stick with me here. I'm going to set it up for you. We're going to buy the 1380 calls, and we're going to assume that we can sell the futures at 1380. Okay. Right. So if that cost 87 points, the most you can, if it rallies at 10,000 points, the most you can lose is the 87 points that you paid for the call, because the call gets exercised and takes you out of your short. Right. And that's the whole thing. And so you're paying 87 points for the time, really. You're paying it for the time, for tomorrow's close. That's the long and the short of it. And you don't make as much on the initial break
because it's only moving at half the speed because it's a 50
Yeah, right.
delta.
So you don't, I mean, let's just say this is, again, I create spreadsheets for this stuff, and I know where my break even is based on the time, how much time we have left in the options. I mean, I used to, when we were trading for the hedge funds, this is what we had, live data in a spreadsheet that was telling us where we need to add more or take off more. Very technical, very advanced, right? Most people don't get this. Like, you would tie data to a spreadsheet that would keep your deltas and your gammas and everything live, so you knew what to do at what prices, and it changed as time went towards expiration.
For sure, 100%.
Right, and so people need to understand this. Like, this is not a simple thing, and even
which
though
will be interesting. It'll be interesting tomorrow when we do this exercise to see, especially if it breaks, how much that call is still worth 100 points lower from here.
Right. If it
in
breaks.
fact, you can get an estimation right now. What is the 13,180 call priced at? So 100 higher from
today for tomorrow.
Yeah, for tomorrow. What is the 13,180 call?
It is 31.
All right, so 31. So if we broke 100 points, right, we'd be up 100 points on the future, right? And the call would still be worth 30 points. So we would only lose 47 points, 57 points on the call. We paid 87 for it. It's still worth 30.
Maybe.
It's a way to just, especially in these markets that are so volatile, to give yourself time.
Well, they're not that volatile. They're not that volatile right now, but okay.
All things being relative. All right, Matt.
But I will say this: the sheet inside MarketVitals.io again today gave us a 288 point range in the Nasdaq, and we're sitting right at that. So there you go. That also is not a definitive thing, but it gives you an idea of expected.
Again, man, one of the very first things somebody asked me.
So, like, if you want to, after that bottom was put in this morning, when they tried to get everybody short right in the open there, at at 7 o'clock, when they when Nancy was landing, all the retail came in and sold. That was a good buy. Now that all the retail is buying at the high of the day, it's probably a good sell. But that 288 point range helps you with that. Again, the low today was 814, and we've gone up to 13,097, and that is 283. So pretty much right on the number so far.
I mean, if you don't incorporate a range predictor into your modeling, I think you're doing it wrong also. Like, you have to have expectations for the day.
Yeah,
the
range
model's telling you 283 points is expected for the day. What are you looking for 800 points for today? I mean, obviously things change. Bigger ranges beget bigger ranges, smaller ranges beget smaller ranges. But the sheet for sure gives you that starting point of where your expectations should be based on the numbers and nothing other than the numbers.
Right.
All right, Matt. Congratulations to the San Diego Padres. Thank you, Lee. Please join us at MarketVitals.io. By the way, streaming this week from HFR from the Floor's Twitter handle, as Market Vitals is currently in the penalty box. The truth seekers not wanting truth sought, apparently. Anyway, join us. MarketVitals.io is the site, and get the sheet tradable. With tradable market information, we talk about all the time, levels that you need to triage the market. Here's the sheet. Here's what you were talking about, Matt. All of this inside the Market Vitals site available to you. A pivot model, the value range and the point of control, standard deviation modeling, some great points of reference for any trader to add to their trading regimen. Adding layers of discipline never hurts, Matt. It never hurts. No,
and execution still the key component. So even with that information, you can stab yourself.
That information is I like the way my brother used to put it. It's a call for action. Like, if you cannot pick up that mouse and become a trader at your levels, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Call for action. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, and something like this, Bob, you're able to sell 13.1, that 13.1 area, and give yourself, maybe, depending on your size, if you're a really small trader, you can put on a 1 micro and give yourself a 50-point stop. I mean, you're only talking about 100-point risk, right? Or $100 risk. And that's the scenario if you're trading a micro. So 50 points at $2 is $100. So that's a nice, in other words, you sell 13,100 area and you stop over 13,150. That's where you're wrong, right? You're not risking much.
Bingo.
And then if it breaks, the chances are, like you said, it could go, when 288 is your day range, tomorrow's day range may be similar, but the 288 points might be to the downside, and we might close at 12.9, and then we might go to 12.6 by tomorrow.
Bingo.
So it's a really easy way for you to, have a reason to have a stop, right? Not just because it's a new high, but have a reason to have a stop. And that, it just happened to match up with yesterday's high too. So like two things came together at one. I mean, that's a nice, I like that setup.
All right, Matt. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Again, please retweet, share, plagiarize the broadcast, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. Go Padres.
Peace out.
Go Padres.